Hello and welcome to another episode of Breaking Mayberry, the podcast that bridges the generation gap by uniting us against a different generation.
Yeah. That could apply in a lot of different directions to a lot of different things.
I just feel like if you listen to Breaking Mayberry long enough, you're gonna forge alliances against the boomers / the greatest generations. I think, we're part of that Gen X, Gen Z, millennial coalition. We should apply it to Gen Z a little bit more, honestly.
We're very much a millennial Gen X podcast. Gen Z wants nothing to do with us. If we are the olive branch to Gen Z, it will be slapped away.
I mean, I don't think they even listen to podcasts that don't involve like murderers. So
yeah.
And we're not recording a TikTok. This is not working at all. This has been a
Our
botched
podcast doesn't have enough stunts.
We don't have enough riz. We're not rizzed up.
God, every time we try to talk about Gen Z even a little bit, we both aged 10 years.
I'm pulling the ripcord on this. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Marty Schneider.
I'm the other host, Dan Ludwig.
Look, I have an excuse. I have an excuse for why I'm not on my game right now, and I'm going to make the confession right now. So this past weekend, long story short, my father's sick. And my father is sick with something that does not give him really great odds of making it through the year. So good thing I don't host a podcast about fatherhood or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Good thing we don't do that.
And Marty cries on the podcast to the bingo card.
I mean, you made it. It was very really like it was probably hard for you. Your dad. You lost your dad when we were doing this show too. I'm gonna get weird and sad this year. Is what I'm saying. But things are okay for now. I had to do a bunch of stuff this weekend, getting my dad out of the hospital. Right now, things are at a decent plateau. But when something like this happens, your decision making kind of goes out the window. You do things in survival mode that you probably wouldn't do, and you make weird decisions, which is why my wife, as soon as we got back from setting my father up, getting him out of the hospital, went grocery shopping to pick out some things, went to Aldi, and came back with a 10-pound bone-in spiral cut ham.
Like a cartoon ham.
Like a cartoon ham, which according to countryliving.com, I looked it up, is the right size for an Easter dinner of 7 to 10 people.
Or for Tom to hit Jerry with.
Dan, there is so much ham in my home. My fridge is just spilling over with ham. And it turns out my cat loves ham. That's his favorite thing in the world. So I've been slamming those hammy sammies all week, dude. I'm going to walk out of this just like sad about my father and also just numb to the taste of cured pork butt.
What you've done is you're going to eternally associate the taste of cured ham with sorrow.
Yes. If anything, this is ruining ham for me.
You're going to have ham on a pizza and just break down in tears.
No, exactly. Like it's bad enough. Like I've had to think about this. If I do lose my dad, right, then I'm going to be sad about like Bruce Springsteen and my favorite movie is a Goofy movie. That's going to make me sad. And now it's also ruining ham. You're taking away ham.
As somebody that's been there before, I do need to give you the advice. If you hear Cats in the Cradle, you just gotta leave. You just gotta get out of there. You just gotta get the hell out of there. It'll ruin your month.
I gotta just any shop I go to, Cat Stevens might be around just waiting to fuck my shit up.
Just ruin your whole goddamn week.
It's not time to make it. Fuck off, Cat Stevens.
It's Cat Stevens elbow dropping you in the soul. You gotta watch out. There's a whole bunch of shit you gotta watch out. Welcome to the dad sorrow game. You gotta keep your head on a fucking swivel.
Keep going. Keep on it. Keep on.
Somebody is gonna try to put on Field of Dreams at some point. You get the fuck out. You gotta go.
You can't even look at Kevin Costner, right? Like,
no.
The cause is. Ooh, is Kevin Costner the cause? Right. I feel like for a long time people called Cosby the cause, but I feel like he's relinquished. Like we're repealing that nickname.
Give it to Costner.
Yeah, Costner. If the cause is there, you gotta run.
Yeah, like if you did Kevin Costner's face as an ink blot, those like creases and folds in that man's face just spells out dead dad. Like, just he's just like the has this man appeared in your dreams face, but just for mourning.
My dad is still alive and for the moment doing well.
Alive.
So
yes,
doing well. Dan, you said
Mine's
you had
dead.
something to tell me. Yeah, I did. I knew that, buddy. You okay?
Yeah.
Doing real good this episode. First time. We actually have sponsors, but that's a good announcement. We have sponsors now, but I don't think we're gonna do them on this episode.
Nobody tell them about this one. So this is lighter, and
thank God.
This occurred to me, and I was like, this will make Marty happy, I think. But because it's December, one of the more obscure tangential pieces
January.
Because it's been December, one of the more obscure tangential pieces of Christmas music, like not really Christmas music, but gets played a lot in the season. Favorite Things. Yeah. Like the puppies and ribbons and string and other ribbons, like that whole freaking song. That was like playing in a Walgreens.
I need to know what you think the lyrics to My Favorite Things are.
It's just a lady like listing soft stuff that she's into. Like,
it's basically an Amazon wish list. It's an OnlyFans model's Amazon wish list set to music.
I just remember one of them is bits of string.
It's brown paper packages tied up in string, dude.
Yeah.
It's the package that she wants, a present. She wants presents.
Right. So that was playing like a Walgreens, and I had like this flashback memory, like the camera zooms in on my eye. But my freshman year of high school, and I had a really good English teacher that did a bunch of like cool shit. And one of the things he did was he played us that song, the original My Favorite Things. And then he played us John Coltrane's Favorite Things. Mm-hmm. And he explained who John Coltrane was, be like, he revolutionized jazz. This great figure died tragically of heroin. And then he played us the song.
And this is English class?
This is English class. This guy ruled. Okay. And we sat there and we listened, and he was like, so you'll notice he didn't really say anything. It's just music. From that, what do you think John Coltrane's favorite things were? And a kid in the front row shot his hand up and just went, heroin. But like,
yeah.
Not in a being a smart ass way, just be like, ooh, I got it. And the teacher just went, I mean, yeah. And then just moved on to the next thing. It was like, this isn't going to work. These kids are too fucking stupid. We're just going to go on to the next thing. But just the idea of a kid going like, I got it. The thing he mentioned killing him 5 minutes ago. I wish I could remember which kid that was so I could message him on Facebook.
Like, hey, man, you remember this?
Remember that time you said a real dumb thing in our freshman English class?
I don't think that's a dumb thing at all. I think that's a pretty smart thing.
I mean, yeah, I think he was looking for like a deeper analysis, but yeah.
I mean, what the fuck's it's English class. I feel like your English teacher is trying to really pull some like, I'm gonna reach these kids. With
he was trying to
Coltrane. He's really going for some my captain, my captain shit. And he's like a fucking English teacher at Buttfuck High, like Massachusetts. So
Yeah, the Buttfuck High, Massachusetts.
that's where you went, right?
Buttfuck High, Massachusetts, where I never read Moby Dick, but I read most Stephen King novels as part of the official curriculum.
I mean, no high schooler reads Moby Dick anyway, right? I don't think.
I just
I
assumed,
figured if anything, it would be a place in New England. But yeah, you would never read a Bronte sisters novel.
yeah, no. I mean, we don't read Moby Dick in New England because they're like, it's mostly about how to tie knots and hunt whales, and we're like, we know that, like, we're a seafaring people. Like, I know how to kill a whale. You don't need to tell me about it. It's like a birth knowledge.
Actually, that's funny. Being from Oregon, I actually do also know how to kill a whale, or really how to dispose of whale carcasses. It's with 17 tons of dynamite.
We've never talked about this. Do you want to like take a weekend and go kill whales together?
Let's do some killing whales. You shoot them, I'll explode them.
Yeah.
If anyone doesn't know what I'm talking about, there is a famous. You can Google Oregon whale explosion. There are songs written about it. There's a famous occasion in the 70s where a beached humpback whale appeared on the coast of, I want to say, Brookings, Oregon, Gold Beach, Oregon, somewhere on the Oregon coast that I've been to a couple of times, and I've been to the site of this, and it was there for like a week and a half while various governments fought over whose responsibility was this. It's on the beach. It's the park departments. No, it belongs to the city. No, it's outside of city limits. It belongs to the state. Until finally it landed in the somehow the hands of the Oregon State Department of Transportation. I have no idea how this happened. And they kind of looked around going, we have no whale disposal things. But you know what we do have? Dynamite. And so as if they were blasting a tunnel, they shoved. This is not
just brief pause. How long into this process was the whale alive? Like,
I feel like
dead from the word go.
I think the whale was dead to begin with. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, there was no chance of saving this whale. It turned up dead on the beach. So now you've just got like rotting whale carcass. And the Oregon Highway Patrol Department, or the Oregon Highway, I think it's Highway Patrol, they just load it up with TNT and C4 and whatever. And you can find the video of this, of the exploding whale. And then they blew it the hell up. They blow it sky high. This is 1976, I want to say. And do you know what happens then, Dan? It rains flaming whale carcasses from the sky because it doesn't like disintegrate it. No, it doesn't even really take out the whale. It just blows whale parts miles away. Like chunks of whale are just running through people's Volkswagens, just landing on them in town.
To do enough to fully obliterate the whale to the point of it mattering, you would have to like be firing these things with like bullet speed. Jesus, that rules. Do they? You said you've been there. Is there a monument?
There's a monument. There's like a statue of just an exploding whale. I think it's the thing that the city would rather forget, and we will never let them forget it.
There's just a statue of like the whale like jumping out of an explosion, like just the whale made out of fire. Be like.
They were actually trying to do like a giant defibrillator. They were hoping they could like pump it back to life. If we make a large enough explosion, the whale will go, oh shit! Oh boy! Oh man! Thanks, guys. Just then free Willy back into the ocean.
How do you think it was like for the guy who, when they were pitching it, initially suggested dynamite? Like, do you think he like just immediately like shot out like dynamite? It's dynamite. That's how we're gonna do it. Or was he like they've been pitching ideas for like 3 hours, and he was like, "Hear me out. What about dynamite?"
And I imagine that everyone else around was like, "What about dynamite? Yeah, dynamite." And it just kind of ripples through the crowd. Dynamite, 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 dynamite. And then they start singing dynamite, 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 dynamite. And there's a little I got a plan and it sure won't fail. We're gonna use C4 to blow up that whale. It's gonna go sky high.
Or the alternative is that they were all really pissed off that like the parks department shunted this off on them, be like, those fucking pricks like making us deal with this. They know goddamn well that this is their beach, but they don't have it in the budget. So you know what? Let's just blow up the fucking whale. Fuck you. See how you like it. Enjoy cleaning whale debris off of your fucking park for 6 months, dickheads.
I like how you slipped into a Massachusetts accent for that for a second.
It's the only way I can do an angry working man.
I would like to point out, though, now that, like, this means that in the Oregon State Charter somewhere, somebody had to write out, because of this incident, like a standard operating procedure for whale disposal. Now that we know what not to do.
Just, like... Just a Goofus and is it Goofus and Galahad? Is that what?
Gallant.
Close. Goofus and Gallant. Like Goofus sticks dynamite into the whale. Gallant gets a hacksaw.
I've had some time to think about this. I feel like what you would want to do is crane, right?
Crane or just like, well, wait. Because can you just put the whale back into the ocean? I feel like it would just immediately wash back up.
Yeah, it's true. That's true.
You would have to get it, like, into the ocean. Like, into it.
I'm sure before they reached dynamite, somebody considered catapult.
I was gonna say catapult, but I think if you give me... I think the best way to do it is... bulldozer the whale into the water until it is like floating. It has to be floating. And then you just take like a boat motor and you just pop it into that sucker.
like it's Breath of the Wild. You're just going to attach it with the hand.
Yeah. And then you just give it a slap and you just watch it go. Yeah. It just takes off. I'm assuming the whale is buoyant. And it's Japan's problem when it eventually hits them. Japan, yeah, it's the right direction.
That's
Australia,
correct.
Probably. It would probably like drift a little. But yeah,
like the Garfield phones.
Yeah,
the
Garfield phones that have just been intermittently washing up on like Italy.
Yeah,
for like 10 years.
All right, let's go ahead and talk about today's episode. Today's episode is Opie's Newspaper. Originally airs March 22nd, 1965, written by Harvey Bullock. This is the last time we see Bullock this season, but not the last time we see him ever. Actually, it's the second to last time. We only got one more Bullock episode after this.
Trying to hold a mirror up to society, Bullock? Really? This is the one where you get deep? It's not that great.
That's right, buddy.
Batman. This is Batman doing this.
This is Batman. We're doing the Batman bit. We're
bringing it back.
We only have a couple more opportunities to do the Batman bit, so like we should do it. Written by Harvey Bullock, directed by Kobe Ruskin. Here is your one-sentence summary from Wikipedia. Opie publishes local gossip in his newspaper, embarrassing Andy, Barney, and Aunt Bee, who had made unflattering comments about fellow townspeople. I want to get this out of the way right now. I love this episode.
Kicks ass. Instead of doing the thing I thought it was going to do, it did a good thing. And it felt so great.
Instead of being bad, it was good. And it turns out that's enjoyable.
I was expecting it to do something really bad and annoying, and instead it didn't. And I was really pumped about it.
Yeah, this episode and the next one, I think are all-timers. I loved this. So let's go ahead and run through this. We're opening up with Andy's hanging out in the jail, and Opie comes in with a fresh copy of his new newspaper, The Mayberry Sun, which he is publishing. He's publishing with his friend Howie Pruitt, because Howie Pruitt got like a printing press, a printing kit for his birthday. Which Yeah, all right. It's a weird birthday present, but okay, Howie, that sounds cool.
Not anti it as a present, either on the giving or receiving end. It seems like a cool thing to give a child. I think if I got it as a child, I would be moderately pumped. I would give it a spin. I think, assuming Howie said like some shit about wanting to be a newspaper man, and the parents were like,
I think
let's
that'd be
jump
neat.
on that healthy idea.
Yeah, go for it. Let them do it. So they have their own news sheet. And it has like all the playground reportings. In fact, literally like stories about a girl like skinning her knee on a playground and a kid getting a part in the school play. So it's, it's a school newspaper. Actually, I feel like in the 60s, school newspapers were probably pretty common, but in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Andy encourages this and he thinks this is really cool, really neat. And he attempts to buy a paper from Opie for the price of 3 cents. Mm-hmm. He asks Opie if he has change for a quarter, and Opie does not, because he has not sold a single newspaper, except to the other children in his class. Opie thinks, hey, maybe I can go over to the grocery store, and then I'll sell some more newspapers, and I'll come back, and I'll give you change for that quarter, Dad. And he runs off. Now is when this scene happens. And Barney comes back from the barber shop, and he complains that his haircut took so long because Floyd and another dude were gossiping about some old widow who is stepping out. Barney claims that he didn't hear any of it because he was reading his National Geographic. Dan.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So the thing he says is these two old men were gossiping, but you know me, I can't hear anything when I'm reading a National Geographic. I didn't have any part in this. And then recites the gossip to perfect clarity and adds his own color commentary. And at the end, Andy asks, so what was the National Geographic about? And Barney just goes, Africa. Fucking boom.
Good.
Pretty good joke.
Nails it.
Nails it. The contents of the gossip are this widow whose husband hasn't been dead very long has started sleeping with a traveling salesman because they were seen at a diner together, sitting on the same side of a booth while eating steak.
They even get the cut of the steak.
Yeah, and
it's a New York cut.
And they say that she has already spent his deathbed money, $95 on it, on slip covers for all of her furniture that she's now hanging out with her salesman boyfriend on. And then Barney adds some weird color commentary of, well, she's always been like this. Call her a dark-haired woman?
It's literally color commentary because he comments on the color of her hair. Barney just says,
a dark-haired woman. Yeah,
all brunettes are sluts.
Basically,
Barney. Yeah,
and then says, she banged a contractor.
Yeah, that's true. He also kind of says, that he was their hired man. You know when they had like an addition to their house. Yeah, she was fucking the contractor too. They just sit there and gossip about this brunette.
Barney
isn't Barney's girlfriend a brunette?
Yes, yeah. Which, I mean, might be why he is totally okay disregarding her as a human. Barney...
He also gets on another woman for having dyed hair this episode as well. He's got some weird, like, obsession with women's hair in this episode.
But this show has gotten, like, way more overtly sexual, like, but only in the context of, like, calling 50-year-old women sluts.
Right.
Like, back, like, when we first started this and we were like, please, for the love of God, acknowledge that people can fuck. And now they do, but only in the context of being like, you know who's fucking behind closed doors, do you? These two people that almost shouldn't. A woman whose husband has been dead not quite long enough.
You know what it really comes down to is, you know who's fucking? The whores.
Yes.
The whores are fucking.
Andy, Andy, I didn't know if you were aware of this, but gossip on the street is that all women are sluts. I don't know if you were up on this.
Jesus Christ.
I've been reading some literature and I have some thoughts on this subject. Yeah, there's like a joke in the episode now that is just being like, hey, that woman's fucking. She shouldn't be. I judge her. I lay judgment upon thee. That sexual woman.
What I like about this scene, though, and this is something that we haven't seen, Bullock is, actually bringing heat, is this is a somewhat unrelated throwaway gag, but it's still thematically relevant to the theme of the episode, which is about, like, adults' penchant for gossip.
Yeah.
So after they tell that bit, Opie walks in trying to sell a newspaper to Barney and explains that nothing happened at the store. Barney suggests, all right, well, why don't you widen your scope? Maybe you're not selling any newspapers because adults don't really give a shit about a kid that fell down on the playground. Right? Adults do not care about this. So he says, why don't you widen your scope? You should try to widen your scope and tell stories like real journalists do. He makes up some bullshit about him having a column in the high school paper, which only appeared once, a sports column. Barney
Andy
does Barney stuff.
Andy very cruelly points out after Opie is gone, be like, how many times did your column run? One time, and then they canceled it. Yeah, that's right, bitch. Yeah, like just kind of like pointing out, be like, hey, just a quick reminder, you've lived a sad life without meaning. Suck it.
Getting really dark there, Bullock.
Really, really trying to take this man down. But yeah, like, cool. Barney keeps like starting to give Opie advice, and then Andy keeps intercepting and being like, nope, shut up. Here's a good version of what he was about to say.
Great. Like, yeah, it's been 6 years. He's figured out how to do it.
Yeah, I'd be like, you're about to do some shit to my kid that I'm going to have to fucking pay somebody money for down the line. So, no. Yeah, like, finally stepping up to the plate as a parent a little bit.
And he's pretty supportive of this whole thing. So Opie takes the advice. Do you disagree?
No, but I was gonna say, before we get to the results of this advice, solid advice, I would say. Right about adults.
Fine. Yeah, sure. Right about stuff people care about is, pretty basic newspaper advice. Dan, did you ever do anything like this as a kid?
So, did I do anything like this as a kid? I wrote for my elementary school newspaper, but I did cartoons for it that weren't very good because I was reading The Far Side at the time.
Did you try to do? I tried to do like a Captain Underpants situation where I would draw and write comics and then sneak into the office and sell them or copy them and then try to sell them for a nickel.
I did have that plan as a kid. But I could not vouch for my own quality.
Oh no. Captain Whatchamacallit comics were absolute garbage. It was like a satire of superhero comics. I was ahead of my time.
I think I ripped off Mad Magazine comics. I think I signed up to be my comics, my newspaper's cartoonist. And then I was like, I got nothing. And then I just ripped off a Mad Magazine.
I remember very clearly having to have an interesting conversation with my parents who put a kibosh to this whole experiment because my friend and I were sitting there trying to come up and we wrote comics around us. Okay, yeah. Captain Whatchamacallit's got to fight a new battle all the time. What's this rock guy's name going to be? He's going to fight a rock monster. What's the rock guy's name? Rocky. All right. He's going to fight an electricity guy. What's that guy's name going to be? Sparky. Okay, cool. All right. This guy's like a rhinoceros dude. He's got prongs and pokes everywhere. What do we call him? horny. All right, we're gonna write about. And we did. Fourth grade Marty wrote a comic about a guy fighting horny,
Yeah.
and we wrote this.
Really mirroring the primary struggle of your life going forward.
I mean, it's really like pretext.
Yeah.
And that was when and then somebody found out. The teachers were like, all right. Then I had to have a conversation, and then I wasn't allowed to do the comics anymore. We also had
so just for the character, like if you hadn't accidentally named a character horny, would you have been cool? Were they just like
maybe? I don't think the school loved that I was using their resources for this, because I was like going into the office and copying papers off.
That was just basically we're like, well, now this is like a legal liability, because if kids start talking about a horny man when they get home, then yeah, we're in some trouble.
Yeah.
Like, did you have any success with this? Did you get circulation?
I mean, the fourth graders were really interested in this, but they weren't. Yeah. They were also like they were also illegible because I had neither artistic nor writing talent, so it was gibberish. And frequently kids would have to walk up and ask me what a certain panel said because my handwriting was indecipherable. We actually also did have an elementary school newspaper for like a hot minute. And in that, I wrote a review of The Phantom Menace.
What, positive or negative? Yeah. Like all children at the time, you liked The Phantom Menace.
I'm pretty sure my review was, it is Star Wars. I like Star Wars. And then I spent part of the review explaining the concept of a prequel, which I think was actually helpful at the time. All right, yeah. So Opie and Howie hang out, and they think about like, well, okay, if we're going to be like a big newspaper, what can we write about? And they go through and they're like, stock options, we can't write about that. Government roundup, can't write about that. And they find the gossip column. Mayberry After Midnight. Mayberry After Midnight's been mentioned a few times. I don't know who writes this. I don't know how they haven't been strung up by a tree in the middle of town. But Mayberry After Midnight is basically like an anonymous gossip column that's just like, hey, guess which Mayberry resident's life is shitty right now?
Yeah.
Guess who's been seen going out really late at night? Maybe After Midnight is weird. It's just a weird thing to have.
The whole premise of it is they don't name names. So it's basically like, we heard that somebody in town is having sex. And then you, as the home listener, is supposed to be like, I bet it's Tim. Or one of them was like, we heard a little birdie told us that somebody is crying into her monogrammed towels, which I don't know what the fuck that's implying. I guess it's just like,
I think it means that they're rich, but they're sad, like a Sofia Coppola movie.
Yeah.
Right? Monogram towels being a thing that rich people have. So, looks like money doesn't buy happiness, Beth. Money won't bring your husband back, will it?
Yeah. Like... That's all in the fucking column is just like, somebody's crying to their monogram towels. Guess money doesn't buy happiness, Beth. Huh? Guess it won't bring back your husband. Just this long, it's long on that one.
It's really long.
Think you're better than me? You're not better than me. Death comes from us all, bitch.
So that's the plan, right? Is that they decide, okay, this is what we can write. We can write the Mayberry After Midnight column. Because that's what adults read. They like that part. Barney told us to write stuff that people want to read. And my mom always reads this part. Yeah, Aunt B always reads this. So we get a montage of Howie and Opie spying on people around town. And the way that it goes is so funny to me. Because you'll just get a clip of, there's 3 scenes. First is like Andy and an old man sitting on the bench outside the barbershop, and the preacher walks by and they're like, hey, preacher, hey, well, good sermon. And then they sit there and shit talk like, oh man, that sermon is really boring. Yeah, that preacher is dry as dust. And then it like pans off to the side. You're and there's like Opie's just standing there with a notebook, like, aha, yes.
There's one where they pan over and Howie is just like nonchalantly being really shitty at the yo-yo. Just like
just playing failing. With my yo-yo. Oops.
Yeah. Just
man, this cup and ball is really interesting. I can't hear you talk about sex at all.
Yeah, so one of them is Andy, like, kind of gets baited into calling the preacher boring. He's like, good man, really great guy. And then the guy's like, but if you had to criticize something about him, well, his sermons are a little dull. I agree, he's boring as shit. Like, fuck yeah. And then they would do a little fist bump.
Yeah, there's 3 examples here. There's the Andy one.
There's the Aunt B one where she's on a call with some of the ladies, and they're talking about a church event they had, and she says that her friend makes really dry chicken.
No, it was chicken a la king, and it tasted like wallpaper paste. And most importantly, she was more like, oh my god, she wouldn't shut up about that chicken a la king recipe, and it sucked. It's kind of what it was, right? That kind of shit talk. And then the third one is Barney and Aunt B talking about, let me get these names right, Harold and Sue Grigsby. Harold Grigsby has a big dude, and he has just married a woman who is like half his age, Sue Grigsby, and says that, like, not only is like it weird the age gap, but also he's a freak about it, and every time anybody looks at her, he goes nuts. And also, she dyes her hair. It's a blonde straight out of a bottle, which when they said that, I had fucking like flashbacks to season 1. Cheerio Meredith, Emma Watson, or Emma. Yeah, I think Emma Watson was the name, the character, or Emma Brand. Yes, that's it. I'm going to call her Emma Brand because that's not the name of an actress. Emma Brand.
We got there.
Yeah. Emma Brand. According to the ultra reliable Mayberry Wiki, it's both.
Okay.
But, remember Emma from season 1?
I do remember.
Yes. Ooh, she gets her hair straight out of a bottle. That's a thing that she actually said. So I had flashbacks from that.
Just the pain center of your brain activated when you heard that phrase.
It just went to PTSD flashbacks from that. So that's it, right? Preacher is dry and boring. That dude's married to a much younger woman, and he's really jealous. And also, they don't ever mention the blonde out of a bottle. It's just more of Barney's obsession with women's hair. Can't fool me. She's one of those dark-haired women's.
And like, he gets a chuckle out of it initially, and he just keeps hammering it and be like, yeah, fake hair color. Yeah. She should have a different hair. Like,
you're saying it like it's Beavis and Butthead. And yes, like, Barney and Aunt B do just kind of sit there and chuckle like, Clairol, spot of a bottle, not naturally blonde. Like, they do that for a minute.
Yeah, it's weird.
So they write their column. They take this material,
and they do like a really kind of adorable thing of them like printing it, where it's kind of like fascinating to watch because it's like they put the paper down. They do a crank with the plate. It presses. They lift it back up. They put another piece of paper on. It's like very soothing to watch. And so I think that they show them like distributing it. And the next cut is to them all in the kitchen. And Opie hands them all a copy of the newspaper before going to distribute it for the day.
Right. He hands everybody a copy. He's like, we're giving these ones out for free because maybe next time people will buy them, which, all right, that's a business model. First taste is free. Like, getting them addicted to it. So he hands something to Barney and to Andy and to Aunt B and says, all right, bye. So he drops that in there.
I'm going to say, after the contents of this first issue, that would have worked. People would have been very eager to get issue 2. And not necessarily for great reasons.
And it kind of goes for a second, like it almost goes unnoticed. Like they're like, all right, well, gotta go about my day, gonna do my thing, and then Don Knotts gets an amazing face on this one, just
Yeah.
a great bull kind of face going on when he reads like the local sheriff calls preacher dry as dirt, right? And so
Yeah.
they all realize the trouble that they're going to get into. They run out. Aunt B, Barney, and Andy all run out together. They meet the boys and like, hey, what are you doing? Where have you put these newspapers? And the boys go, I don't know, only on like half these three streets, and the three biggest streets in town. I gotta say real quick, I don't think the boys end this episode knowing what they did wrong.
No.
It is
So
not articulated to them what was wrong.
well, the cool thing is Opie is trying to have like a normal Andy Griffith show conversation of him being like, Pa, can you explain to me why it's not okay for a child to do this thing, but it's okay for an adult to do this thing? Sort of like a moral lesson, and Andy's just like, fuck your moral lesson, you're ruining my life. The moral lesson is don't be such a dipshit all the time. Where are the newspapers? You kidding me?
And that's one of the things I like about this episode is that it's not super preachy. There is kind of a moral, but it also like kind of reveals the hypocrisy of the adults here, right? It kind of revels in it. Like that's sort of its whole shtick. And it's not preachy about it. It's kind of like, okay, gossip is a thing you shouldn't do, but we all do, and I guess that's okay.
Yeah.
There's no journalism class. There's no journalist ethics. You know, nobody explains to Opie the concept of on and off the record.
No, yeah, like Andy is basically like, adults are garbage. Is that what you want to hear from me? Okay, all right. Society is trash. Just tell me where the newspapers are. Like, I just love that he's kind of like Opie does not walk away from this a better child. Net neutral, if anything. But what I thought was going to happen was the newspapers are going to get distributed. Everybody was going to get angry at Andy. Andy would have to do a big speech to calm everybody down. There'd be a bunch of yelling in the jailhouse or something. And instead, they do a fun, almost caper. Basically, they do like a weird little heist.
Yeah. Where everyone is running down the street, like trying desperately to grab as many newspapers as they can. We start with Aunt B, who is running down the street, pulling things off of windshields. And eventually Aunt B runs into Mrs. Foster because she goes on Mrs. Foster's porch to pull the newspaper off, and Mrs. Foster comes out like, "Oh, Aunt B, what are you doing here? Would you like some of my chicken a la king?" I theorize that Miss Foster read the newspaper and is fucking with her. Absolutely. I think she knew this.
She's gonna bury that woman in chicken a la king on her fucking deathbed. She's gonna be there with a plate of chicken a la king.
Because in order to cover, Aunt B says, "Oh, I just came over here to ask you for a recipe. That's why I'm standing on your porch." And then she goes, "You know what? I've got a whole chicken a la king casserole in my fridge. Why don't you and Andy come over tomorrow and eat all of it?" "Okay, bye. See you, bitch."
Yeah, she read it. I didn't think that before you said this, but of course she brings up the fucking recipe. She's got it, and she's like, "Got you in my sights, bitch."
Yeah, she 100%. Barney is like jumping over fences like that scene in Hot Fuzz, which is also very funny. And he pulls off a newspaper from the Grigsby family, and as he's walking out, Harold and Sue Grigsby show up, and Harold's kind of like, "Hey, deputy, what are you doing here? Do you think I wasn't home? You were coming to see my wife when I wasn't home? You want to go?" And Barney doesn't even have an excuse. He's like, "No, I was, get out of here." And that man openly threatens to murder the deputy. It's cool.
Yeah, which I'm going to say, the whole he's half her age criticism, I feel like kind of loses some heat when it's revealed that she's like 32.
She's definitely pushing 40, right? Like,
yeah, like that was charitable, but like
yeah.
it's like, yeah, half her age. She can like rent a car at like well past that point. It's no longer that big of a fucking deal.
Yeah, it's whatever.
Yeah. She has a fucking mortgage. Chill out. But yeah, like, so I do appreciate how fucking aggro he is, and good on him for being willing to basically beat a deputy to death in the street. That's love. I I wholeheartedly applaud being willing to kill a cop for your wife. That's the ultimate wife guy. Only that like level of violence in the name of love. Everybody else, no, don't do it. But if you're like, I'll kill this police deputy for my wife, good job.
Good work.
Yeah, proud of you.
Companies, you sure you want to sponsor us right now? Just
Breaking Mayberry officially endorses fighting cops.
we not the first time. You really got to listen to us like before you make these fucking decisions.
Listen, all right, yeah. So right before we get sponsors, I do want to say to our audience, everybody be cool. Everybody be so
Everybody
cool.
be cool.
All right,
Everybody be cool.
Don't blow this for us. All right, okay, all right. Everybody just be chill. Nobody narc on how fucking weird and horrible we are. Just be cool. Be chill.
Be cool. Just be chill.
Be chill.
Just don't fuck this up. Just
fast forward
cool.
through them. Just be cool.
Be
okay.
Cool.
Just don't fuck this up for us.
And then we get to my favorite scene here, where Andy comes up to the preacher's porch, and the preacher is just doing some business. He's out on his porch, and Andy's looking around for the newspaper, and the preacher goes, "Oh, Andy, hey, I was wondering if you could help us out. You know, start taking over some of the Sunday school courses. I know you've done it before, right? Yeah, you'll be willing to help me out, wouldn't you, Andy? I guess so, preacher. I mean, I think you should do it because your lessons could never be dry as dirt." And he hands over the newspaper.
So
I love
satisfying.
it. I'm sitting there just like, consequences. Andy's facing consequences. Someone has some moral authority over Andy. Yeah. Yeah.
Which
the preacher's so fucking chill about this. The preacher is so cool about this. Because
this old man looks him in the eye and says, "I have you hogtied for a month of Sunday school," and then laughs. This old guy rules.
I really like this episode because remember, we've complained that the worst thing you can do in Mayberry ever is hurt someone's feelings a little. And this is the logical end of that. Like, we've been complaining about that for 5 years, and now we've got like a result of it. Like, okay, all right, if that is the case, these three are about to become pariahs.
Yes.
Right? They're about to commit like the worst thing they could ever commit time and time again.
Like, in the scenario where this does get out, it does make sense that they could not do that storyline because they would have to leave town. Like, they would have to move. Not even move. They would not be able to sell the house. Like, they would just have to burn it down and leave.
There would be pitchforks involved.
Yes. They were mildly rude. They would have like they might have to kill themselves. Like, that might be the only escape. They would be like full on invasion of the body snatchers on them.
It'd be really funny if like they walked into the church on Sunday and there were just copies distributed amongst all the pews. Just the preachers just like, I thought you might all enjoy some reading material as my sermon seemed to be too boring.
Just this old man makes it his mission to ruin Andy's fucking life.
No, he's cool. He got what he wanted. He said straight up, like, I think I came out ahead in this deal. It's great. It rules.
I have leverage over you.
It's true.
Which I am going to start saying I have people hogtied when I have leverage over them.
Let's just put a pin in that the local preacher has leverage over the town sheriff. Maybe
Yeah.
that will come up later on. Just to remember that. And so the plan at that point for our three heroes is to just wait it out. Just like, okay, I guess we'll go home and get if no one calls or throws a rock through our window, then I guess that was a bad example because rocks do get thrown through windows regularly. We've got like a character on this show whose whole thing is doing that. We haven't been firebombed. If Barney starts the squad car and there's no explosions, I think we'll be okay.
They're waiting around like it's that scene in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid where there's about to be a huge shootout where they're just like the clock is ticking and they're just like, well, no one's tried to kill us yet. I think they basically, I think one of the lines is, well, we haven't heard from anybody's lawyer, so I think we're okay.
Yeah, that's exactly what Andy says. Like, well, it's 8:30 p.m. and there's no lawyer calls, so I think we're okay. It's like, there's not a time limit on this, man. Like, someone could read it tomorrow. You understand that, right?
I mean, I would be looking over my shoulder for the rest of my fucking life. If anybody used a single word from that article, I would, like, jump out of my skin.
And then Opie it was ready to go to bed, and he says to everybody, all right, well, I'm sorry for the thing that I did wrong, which I clearly understand and am able to articulate. Sorry about that. I can't believe we did that for 2 whole pages. And everyone's like, what? 2 whole pages? I thought that was going to be the end of the episode. I thought that was going to be it. It is not, and I'm so thankful for it. Opie says, yeah, we were on a roll. We had so much stuff. We decided to do issue 2 at the same time. But don't worry, we threw them all away. We bundled them up, tied it up, and just threw it out. And I saw the trash guy take it, so no one will ever see it. Okay, bye. And then we get a pretty fun scene where Andy's like, I'm just going to go out on patrol. And Barney goes, I'm just going to go check some stuff out. And they all, like, one at a time. They show back up at the dump. Second time this season. Everybody's just been wandering through the dump.
Mm-hmm. Apparently there's no guard or anything to it. It's just a place you can wander into.
Yeah.
Last time it was to look for pornography.
Yeah.
So
it kind of is this time shameful. Too. Like, Andy's there first, then Barney, and then Aunt B, and they're all like, we're all here for the same reason. Let's just leave it alone. Let's just figure it out. And then they do find the stack of newspapers, and they're like,
and
okay, well,
they're all there under the pretense of they want to make sure it gets burned, and they find it.
And there's even a trash can fire.
Yeah,
and it's like throwing the ring into Mount Doom. Like, throw it.
Yeah, like. At the last second, Andy is just like, all right, let's just all fucking admit why we're here. And he just like hands them each a copy. And
they all sit there in the middle of the night with their flashlights reading the gossip rag. And it's very funny.
Which, like, according to like the current trend, all Andy and his friend have been writing down is mean shit that they've said. So I'm assuming that it's just like still mean shit that they said. So they're just basically like, I haven't been here for the hot goss that you guys have been saying, but like, was the plan for this newspaper for it to just be like mean shit that Barney says quarterly? Like,
I mean, today that'll get you put that on Twitter and it'll get you a book deal and a short-lived show on CBS. And by today, I mean 10 years ago.
Yes, we're so in step.
That doesn't work anymore.
That barely worked 10 years ago.
I had that book. I had Shit My Dad Says. I don't know why I had it. It was also very clearly completely made up. I do remember there being a recurring gag of this guy's dad supposedly missing every event in his life because of what happened on the Kentucky Derby weekend.
It used to be so much easier.
It used to be so much easier to do shit like this.
I swear to God.
As a country, we used to have no entertainment standards whatsoever.
Now you gotta be able to do backflips and shit. Swear to God, man.
You gotta like make everything video. You gotta point to words. Please don't make me point to the words. I don't want to point to the words. All right. That's it, right? That's how the episode kind of closes out. Is them sitting in the dark, staring at this with flashlights. I like this.
Yeah, it has the faintest hint of a moral lesson. Again, Opie kind of. Oh wait, no, we forgot the stinger, which is kind of my favorite part. Which is Opie comes in and is like, "I got a new newspaper," and they're like, "What the fuck? No, you didn't." And he's like, "It's okay. I did it within the parameters you set. I'm only writing about children." And they're like, "Okay, I guess that's cool." And they assume it went back to like the initial way it was, which was like Lisa fell down and scraped her knee. And they read it and is juicy goss about his contemporaries in the class, where it's like, but it's still got that like meanness to it of like, Lisa didn't invite her best friend to the birthday party. Like little Susie has 2 boyfriends and they don't know about each other.
It's like Brian's been carrying Anna's books, but does he know that she writes notes to Hector? Like,
just real. And like Andy and Barney like look, just kind of like share a sensible parents chuckle, and I wanted them to just go like, he's gonna get his fucking ass kicked.
Yeah, no, like, this kid's gonna like. I think sometimes
Opie is going to learn a moral lesson just after the episode when kids beat the shit out of him for this.
I think that as a parent, sometimes like the only way to teach the lesson is to let someone else teach the lesson.
Yeah.
Boy's gonna learn one way or another.
Really, the moral lesson of this episode is your mouth has been writing checks your ass is gonna cash. Like, that is really of like you talk shit, you're gonna get fucked up, kid.
This episode ends in the fuck around period. You can imagine the find out period happens immediately after the credits roll. Directed by Kobe Ruskin. Like,
which again, you can't teach that to a child. You just need to let them learn it themselves in hopefully a non-lethal way. So yeah, this is so Opie is about to learn a hard lesson when he goes into the playground on Monday and gets his fucking teeth kicked in. So yeah, it's Andy meter.
I'm gonna say like a 9.
I'm gonna say like a 9. It's pretty good.
Yeah. It's pretty good. Yeah. I enjoyed myself on this one. Actually, hang on. I'm gonna temper my expectations here. I'm gonna say an 8, just because the episode that comes after this I liked more. So,
this is like the last of one of his last episodes, right? Like Bullock,
Harvey Bullock's. Yeah, this is his second to last one.
Batman like descends from the rafters. He does like the cape glide to get down to the ground, even though it's like not that high up. He's just being dramatic, and he holds out his hand and he's like, "You finally did it, Bullock. I'm proud of you. Like, I knew you had it in you. I was your harshest critic because I knew you could write a good fucking episode eventually. I'm the Bat." And then he flies off.
I'll get you someday, Batman. You see, listeners, there's a Batman character whose name is Harvey Bullock, and he's
okay. The Venn diagram between people that listen to this podcast and people that do not immediately associate Harvey Bullock with the character from Batman could not be farther apart. They are in different universes.
Oh, I know. I at this point, me explaining the joke at this point is part of the joke. Like,
if you were a listener of this podcast and you before this episode did not know who Harvey Bullock is shoot me a DM and I'll mail you my toe. I will cut off my toe and send it to you. All right? If you exist, like, look me in the eye and tell me that.
Well, Dan, I actually have a weapon here that you can use
Yes.
to cut that toe off very cleanly. So I have here this wonderful Viking axe that I bought from Battling Blades. Battling Blades is the place on the internet where you can get the best handcrafted weaponry, swords, axes, knives at reasonable prices, high quality. And if you go to, this is not a joke, this is for reals. I know we've Boy Who Cried Wolf this numerous times, but if you go to battlingblades.com and use the discount code Mayberry, you'll get 10% off of your order. This is true. I'm not making this one up. This is a fact.
Which he hasn't given me the axe yet, but he has waved it around on camera several times while we've recorded this. And I gotta say, looks pretty sick.
It's a great axe.
I think our endorsement is just going to be like, every week will be like a different thing I hit with the axe. Be like, watermelon, went right through it. It was so cool.
I've got a feeling they're not going to like that I did the lead in here of you cutting off your toe. So just be clear here. Dan, don't cut off your toe with this axe.
I will not be using the axe to cut off my toe.
Or anyone's toes.
I probably won't be cutting off my toe in general, again, because the person doesn't exist. But, and again, I really cannot emphasize this enough about that sponsorship deal. Everybody be fucking cool.
Be cool.
Be cool. Give them your money if you want. We endorse them as a business. They're cool. Of course we do. It's a fucking company that sells swords. It's sick as shit. That axe looks dope. But don't tell them about all the weird stuff we say.
So again, that's battlingblades.com. Use discount code Mayberry.
Battling Blades. Swords. I gotta read up on what their deal is. I'm assuming they have a tagline. This doesn't count, okay? We're new, all right? This is Mulligan. This isn't one of them.
All right, we're calling it Carrie Mulligan on this one. Andy Barney meter. Pretty low, I think, on this one.
I don't think anything, right?
Zero, right? Yeah, I mean, there's the weird sexism about the hair color, but that is so nonsensical. I don't think it did anything.
It's it's some Dr. Seuss ass sexism. It doesn't even fucking register.
He might as well have just said, "Yeah, they're a star-bellied sneege."
Yeah. The Barney meter is so dusty and covered in cobwebs. Occasionally we just give it a kick to see if it still works. Do you want to put a 1 on the meter just to see if it work, if we feel anything?
I mean, sure. Just like lighting a lighter over your thumb just to see how long you can hold the flame there. Sure.
You got to start a car every now and then to make sure that it stays running.
The Barney meter sounds like.
We're gonna give the Barney meter a charity 1. Just throw a 1 in there.
Just to make sure the battery's working, right?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, our new favorite, the new Barney, the Goober meter, which this one's tricky.
Yeah, so the Goober meter, which is how sick of this shit is Andy.
How close to a full mental breakdown Andy is?
I'm going to say this is 2 or 3, because it is still partially Andy going oh no, this town is hell.
Yes.
But I think overall he's having a decent time with his kids, so...
Andy basically... Andy... kind of is with Opie is I cannot do this with you anymore. You know what your moral lesson is this week? Stop being such a dipshit. It's kind of him basically refusing to do their bit. It's just you are so goddamn stupid. How are you this fucking stupid? You almost ruined my life today. Shut the fuck up. And just running off. So it's on there. He's on the board. I'd say his kid almost ruined his life today. And he's at the end, Opie is are you mad at me? And he's I'm too tired to be mad at you. And I can't begin to explain what you did wrong. So let's say no. I'll put it at a 4.
All right. I think that's fair.
He gets pretty mad at his kid.
I mean, yeah, but that's not that's him being mad at his kid. That's not him being mad at the town, right? It's not him being mad at his life, his existence there. I'm sticking with the 2.
All right.
All right. So that's it for us. As always, you can support us with your money dollars at patreon.com/breakingmayberry. That'll get you access to early episodes, bonus materials, all sorts of other goodies. Hang out in our Discord, make us watch stuff that you want us to watch, etc., etc. That's patreon.com/breakingmayberry.
Just
thank
dropped
you
a
all.
bonus where we watched Boba Bo, Boba Boba Bo, Boba Bo, which, yeah, was sure a thing that happened to us.
If that means anything to you, or if that doesn't mean anything to you, you should just flock to it. Did we actually drop that? I didn't see it on the Patreon.
Yeah, it's in there.
Oh, okay, cool. Please, if you like the show, tell your friends, give us likes and reviews and ratings, etc., because that's how we promote the show anymore. If you like us, tell your friends. That's it.
Yeah.
We'll see you all down at the fishing hole. Buy an axe.